Hello everyone, welcome back to Maverick Mods. Back at the Grand Old Manor this week, another episode of Maverick Mansions. Based on the number of you guys who didn't watch the last couple of plumbing videos, I'm kind of thinking maybe you're not really that interested in plumbing. Okay, no more plumbing. I'm almost done with that anyway. So this week is kind of just I've been busy as a beaver. Kind of just a quick run through of kind of everything I've been trying to accomplish the last couple of weeks on doing essential repairs, needed repairs, things we wanted to do just to bring the Grand Old Manor back up to, kind of a basic functioning point. So here we go. Grab your popcorn. Let's get started. We're down in the basement again. Based on the number of you guys that watched the last plumbing video I did, I'm going to pass on doing much more plumbing. It seems maybe you guys don't like that. So I'm just going to avoid some of the extra plumbing I did to get the outside faucets working. We'll just skip right past that. Today's task. We've got a nice big basement down here, full basement. Problem is it's kind of full of junk. And some of the junk obviously is, well, it's not really junk. And I think I showed this before, but I know down here in the corner, this wood stove, we're keeping that. I'm going to refurbish that. I'm going to clean that up, and that's it. I won't make it functional, but we're going to put that probably in the kitchen as a decorative kind of a showpiece. There's an old refrigerator, and we're going to get back to that in a minute. This thing, I'm trying to figure out. It looks like a water heater. Right in the middle of trying to figure this out, my phone rang, of course, interrupted what I was saying and thinking. Where was I? So I'm pretty sure this is a water heater, but I think the heat source was this wood stove. So I'm not sure quite what to do with this. I'm going to talk to my antique guy up the street and see if he maybe knows somebody that might want this before I just wholeheartedly start getting rid of things. Next up, the old Frigidaire refrigerator here. I'm keeping that. I am not going to make it a functional refrigerator, but I am going to clean it up. We're going to paint it, put it back up, probably in the dining room, use it as a cabinet and a display piece. It's going to look really, really nice. Got a nice little retro, kind of maybe an Art Deco, I think, look. The old oil furnace, that's going to go. I've got a modern heat pump / HVAC unit on the way to replace that. Behind the little piece of plywood here is another refrigerator. That's going to go too. I've got some various stuff here that's going to go. And, there's looks like siding up here. I don't know if I want to keep. I probably ought to keep that as replacement parts. I don't know. I've got to look and see what kind of shape it's in. There's just various bits and pieces of, well, there's some old ducting up here. That's probably going to go. That stuff looks pretty old and nasty. Back here, is this? No, that's wood. I'm going to say if it's metal, I could recycle that. These metal cabinets here, of course, I'm going to empty them out, but I don't know what to do with those yet. Most of what's in here is junk, and that's going to go away. There's a couple of chains. I could probably use those. You can always use chains. Fan belts, well, yeah, that stuff's going to go away. Here's the accumulator tank that's going to go to metal recycling. Same thing, this metal cabinet here. Not sure what I'm going to do with that, but whatever's inside of it probably is going to just go to the scrap pile. But for today, let's work over there. Progress has been made in the basement. Let's work our way down here. I really don't like working in the dark or semi-dark. I've got good night vision, but you know what? Still. So, kind of spent a little bit of time lighting things up down here. Looks a whole lot of just, I can see things now. It's kind of amazing. Not only there, worked a little bit in adding some lights here, and let's get back over here, take a look at zone 3, if you want to call it that. So here's where the progress is. I've lighted the basement about as good as I think it's going to get. Looks pretty good. I can actually see things down here. Refrigerator number 1 is gone. Refrigerator number 2 is gone. They've been taking metal recycling. Still got to work on the air handler, that or the furnace, that's going to go, and the associated ducting to the furnace, that's going to go. Of course, we're keeping Mr. Art Deco Frigidaire. But I also needed to turn the basement into kind of a quasi temporary interim workshop. So I've been moving some of my tools and workbenches down here. I've got some woodworking I need to do. And this is right now about the only open spot I've got to do it. And it gets me in proximity to where the woodworking needs to happen. So that's kind of in progress here. I have found bucket after bucket after bucket. It's the gift that just keeps on giving of old scrap metal. That big pile of wood paneling and bathroom formica, and that was all up there. That's all going to go away. And basically, back in this corner, I so far have pulled out somewhere, just in that corner, I pulled out somewhere in the neighborhood about 150 pounds worth of just scrap metal. So I'm still working on cleaning things out. And that's kind of where we're at on the basement. We're upstairs in the upstairs landing, and so I needed to replace that light fixture. Figured while I was at it, the wiring from the switch to that light probably has something to do with up in the attic as well, which is a big black hole. I think it was about episode 2 on the house where we kind of came up in the attic with really not good lighting. You notice we really don't have good lighting, but figured while I was up here, let there be light. So I took some of my old shop lights, which are just kind of sitting around for now, and lit up the attic. And what that really does is it really illuminates a lot of the junk that's up here. There is a lot of cleanup necessary all throughout here. A lot of cleanup. And I think that'll be something really good for a late fall, nice cool afternoon. Well, a bunch of cool afternoon. Good project to start getting through all of this mess. But at least for now, we can see what we're working on up here. The kitchen originally really didn't have very good lighting. It only had this one in the center here. So up in the attic, this portion of the attic, which is completely separate from the rest of the house, crawled up there, ran some wiring, and I put in some recessed lights. You notice they're kind of temporary over here and over to my left. Reason being, for the can lights, I obviously don't want to drill and cut big holes in the ceiling, because that's 2x6s. So I know that we're going to have ceiling tiles. So I just grabbed a couple of ceiling tiles from here, which are going to go away anyway, and just use them temporarily to give me the recess I needed for the cans. So we have a much brighter kitchen. I'm on item number, I don't know, 342 out of who knows how many thousands of things to do. And one of the things is I've got a little bit of a sag in the floor of the kitchen here. Let's measure that and just see how much that is. So what I've got set up here is I've just got my laser level set. And it doesn't have to be on the floor, and I'll show you how to check this. So I'm going to start at the edge of the floor. And this is kind of a rough way to do it, but I'm showing at the edge of the floor, basically 19.5 inches. And I'll come over here to just about the center of the floor. Let's check the measurement again. So you can find it there. I'm not sure if the camera's showing that or not. 21, call it 21.5. So I've got about 2 inches of sag from the edge to the center. So how do we fix a sagging floor? Well, we're back down in the crawl space. Let me get a light going here. And the way you fix a sagging floor is with jacks. So I had some video yesterday where I was actually putting everything up, and that video went, well, it went to the land of Narnia. And it was a good thing too, because, well, basically it kind of looked like me and involved me and a monkey and a football, and you guys know. So, but the long and short of it is, this is the jack, comes from the local, big box store. You set it up. Now I've got a 4x4 going across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 floor joists. Now, sometimes what you need to do is you jack up the lowest part, and then you marry an additional joist to the existing joist to give it the strength back. In this case, I've already got that. Basically, every one of these is either doubled up already, or in the case over there, it's actually tripled up. So that doesn't really work for me. I think the main problem here is, and I haven't been able to get my fingers kind of up in here to see how deep these are. I think these joists just are like 2x6s. They probably, or maybe 2x8s. They should be 2x12s. I'm not going to mess with that. Basically, the jacks are going to become a permanent feature of the crawl space and the floor. So I've got my 4x4, I've got my jack. Now, normally what you would need to do is, a lot of times if you don't have a concrete basement, which I don't here, but if you don't have a concrete basement, you can't just put the base of the jack down the floor, because it's going to sink and it's going to settle. In my case, I've got the big rock, and the big rock is actually going to help me out because that rock will basically be the substitute for a poured concrete pad that the permanent jack would sit on. I'm thinking this jack can probably be permanent. Time will tell. So what I've done here, I've got the beam up, I got my jack underneath it, I've got my jack tightened up, and my measurements up there, my floor was 2 inches. And basically just turning the screw here, and it raises the floor up. So far, I got it to 1 inch out of the 2-inch sag is gone. We're back in the kitchen for an interim measurement here. Always check your baseline, make sure nothing changed. I'm at 19.25. Here, I'm at 20.5. So I've taken 1 inch, I've lifted the floor 1 inch. Now I'm gonna hold off for a while, let everything settle, and then work on taking that last inch out. As I said before, you guys didn't seem to like the plumbing so much, so let's just focus on all the little things that need to be done. And one of the biggies, this is probably it's probably up there like item number 3, based on, well, I've got a YouTube channel, I need to upload videos, is internet. So around here, problem is there's no fiber anywhere close. There's no cable anywhere close. There is DSL, which is, I mean, we're talking dial-up speed. So that was not an option. Our only real option, after talking to the fiber companies and the cable companies, which they say they have no plans within the next few years of running out this direction, our only option becomes satellite. So pick up the phone. I don't know whether you guys like Elon Musk or not. I don't care. I called Starlink, and here we go. So got the Starlink. antenna mounted way up there. So what I ran across with this, unlike most satellites, which need to look kind of to the south or the southeast or the southwest, the around here, the Starlink needs to look to the northeast. Problem with the house is most of the house has tree cover, and tree cover kills your satellite signal. That corner and the peak were the only two spots of the house we could put the satellite and get our northeast exposure without having any tree cover. So that went up there, and now we've got really good internet. Sometimes you just got to redneck your way through some solutions. So what I've got here, I have a dead tree, which is, I mean, it's deader than a doornail. I mean, it's completely loose there. However, the vines have completely trapped it in the branches, the upper branches of this tree. And I'm kind of hoping I don't have to take them both out. So what I'm going to try and do is, I've got it trimmed as high as my trimmer will go, but I can't get way up there. And I tried pulling on it, and that didn't work because it's way too tangled up there. So we're going to redneck our way through this. I did not have a rope long enough to do this, so we're basically, well, like I said, we're rednecking it. I hope that holds. So I'm strapped around the tree and the vines, and I took all of my available heavy-duty straps, hooked them together. There's one, two, three, and four. I had to do that because it's too muddy down there to get the pickup down in there to get closer. So I had to get up here to firm, hard ground. So we're just going to use the ram and see if we can separate that dead tree and those vines from what hopefully is still a live good tree. This may not work out well. Let's see how it did. So there's the tree, the dead tree, and all the vines. That English ivy is prolific, extremely prolific. Here's the top of the dead tree with all the vines. The vines finally started letting go there. Unfortunately, this is the tree I was trying to save. Didn't know whether I could or not. Let's take a look. And some of these vines are still actually attached. And it wound up pulling this tree out by the roots. Well, I guess I could call that a partial win and a partial fail. The last couple of days, I have been kind of attacking some English ivy. Never really had to deal with it before. So this tree I've got to take a little bit off of this one. Unfortunately, I think this tree is done. The ivy, I think, kind of got that. I've got quite a few of the trees in the front yard here de-ivified, if you want to call it that. A lot of the trees, basically on this side of the drive, not looking good. I think they're all dead. And I think the ivy killed them. That pretty much, all the green you see is, I know we're kind of losing the sun here a little bit, but a lot of the green that you see is the ivy. It's not leaves on the trees. I've got a plan over here. On this side, however, we've got a crepe myrtle right here at the entrance, and it's still making leaves, but it is covered in ivy. This tree, I have no idea what it is, no idea how much of that's ivy. A lot of it is, but you can tell. I mean, it's wow. Look at that. It's just it's that tree might be done. I'm not sure. I've got a lot back in here. I've got to clear out. We got this one. Same thing, except I think this tree might still be. If the ivy's gone, maybe this tree will come back. Hard to say about all of these here. Again, how much of that's ivy, I don't know. The only way to find out is to get rid of it. Now, I have done this tree. I did this tree yesterday. And with the exception of this one humongous ivy root right here, which I'm going to have to get the chainsaw out to cut that root. I started clearing at the beginning of the rock wall. Now, all of that there, that ground cover is all ivy. And man, it is just, you can see, it's just everywhere in here. But what I've been doing is I started at the wall, did this tree yesterday. I'm going to continue and just kind of show you my method for getting rid of this. Once I get rid of it, the ivy will come back. But that'll be next year. I'll deal with it next year. And maybe by getting rid of it, I'll give the tree a chance to kind of come back if it can. And hopefully the ivy will be easier to deal with after the fact. So let's clear some ivy. Let's see what it takes to get rid of all of this. Let's start off by getting rid of some of this hanging stuff right here, just because it's kind of in the way. Been having a little bit of fun buying stuff. It's a big old humongous trimmer here. Let's go and have a little fun with this. Well, that was a big old humongous branch, or whatever you call that, a big old humongous vine. Let's get these. I'll work on the end of the driveway a little bit later. That's just so I don't have to keep brushing those out of my head as I try and work on that tree. I am by no means an expert in any way, shape, or form in what I'm doing here. I'm barely a novice, but it seems to me what seems to work is just these things are just, they're not hard enough that a power tool really works very well. Best thing I've found so far, pair of cutters. You just pick one and you start somewhere. You work up and you work down. A lot of times they're in the ground so tough. Sometimes you can yank, get kind of a long stem. Sometimes they're in there so tough, there's just no pulling them out. And the fun part is coming up here. Because once in a while, that whole vine will separate and you wind up pulling about 30 feet of vine out of the top of the tree. Not always, but sometimes. And sometimes you fall on your butt. But basically, you just work your way around the tree. There's no real start or stop. So let's put this on a kind of a fast forward and see what happens. that one's way too tough. So the best I'm able to do, just get as high as I can. And chop them one at a time. I'll have to get the chainsaw out to get the rest of those roots because they are just too tough. Well, believe it or not, that was the easy part. The hard part is this whole tangle on the ground has got to be cleared back from the tree. Otherwise, it'll just do the same thing all over again. So, and some of these vines, 5, 10, 15 feet away from the tree, and they're just, you'll see. So let's start off right here on the rock wall. Yeah, see that one right there? Easily 10, 12 feet back just into the ground cover there. But just take a handful at a time, and eventually it shows a little progress. This is one of the things I'm kind of concerned about is the ivy and all the, it's actually starting to compromise the wall itself. At some point in time, this is just a concrete cap. I'm pretty sure on this side, it is on the other side. I'll probably have to redo this eventually, one thing at a time. I'm cleared around the tree. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch back behind that. I'll get to that once I get the tree line done. Let's take a look. My trees on this side of the driveway here, probably gone. You never know, but probably so. What I just worked at clearing over here, they may come back. It's possible. Like I said, it's hard to say how much of that is ivy and how much of that is the tree itself. Time will tell. So let's see, 1, 2, I've got 50, about 100 trees in the front of the house, and probably somewhere around 1,000 back in the back 40. Easy peasy. I said I had a plan for these trees right here. Assuming that they are actually dead, which I kind of think they are. The long-term plan, and I'm not going to be able to get to this for a couple of years probably. The long-term plan, this driveway is kind of narrow. I mean, you got to watch, you know, backing out, driving in. I've already scraped up the corner of the Dakota trying to turn around in this. I'd like to widen this, but I want to keep that wall where it is because I think these trees will come back. But if these trees don't, then what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this wall and move it about 3 feet or so farther out. I don't know yet. I'm guessing, and this is a guess, that this wall probably goes down below the frost line, which is probably about 3 feet, which means there's no such thing as moving this wall. I may just have to knock this wall out and build a new wall 3 feet in. But if I have to take all of these trees out, that's the perfect time to do it because that's basically where the new wall will go. And once I take the trees out, pull the stumps. And in that circumstance, I'll get a dozer in here and just have them knock those out rather than try and cut them and stump grind them. Just dozer them, take them out, and he'll take them stumps and all. That'll leave me basically with kind of a hole to begin with. Then I can come in, I can trench it, knock this wall out, sink my new wall down below the frost line, and then build it up from there. I'd also like to take this part of the wall and round this corner here just to make it easier to get in and out of the driveway. Same thing over here. Now this is the little area where the well is. So pardon the mess here, I'm working. I'd like to take this corner, I'd like to round that as well. And that's probably gonna work pretty well because I've got to rebuild a portion of this wall because this crepe myrtle is already tearing this wall apart. So part of this wall has got to be rebuilt anyway. So that would be a good time. Take that out and just kind of reshape this whole wall right here. So that's kind of the plan for the rock walls. Well, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Got a ton of stuff done. There's still a ton more to do. A lot of kind of big projects in the works. Obviously, biggest project, the shop. I'm kind of holding on to that footage. I want to kind of put it all together into one video, kind of a start to finish for the shop build. So stay tuned for that. Got an HVAC unit on the way, just a modern, probably a 3-ton heat pump system. We'll be doing the install on that. Again, stay tuned for that. What else? Got a line on a tractor. Can't tell you much about it right now, but there may very well be a tractor rehab video upcoming soon as well. Stay tuned for that. Other than that, let's do a quick cat and kitten update. I wish I could get you, actual footage of them in the mornings after they eat. It's the thundering herd, and it's hilarious to watch. It's a little bit too late in the day for that, but so far we've got both of the adult females spayed. So that problem is solved. No more kittens. At least no more new kittens. Fingers crossed, hopefully. We've got 6 kittens, and they are somewhere around 5 months old. We think they're right to the point where we can start taking them in to get spayed and or neutered as well. So we'll get taken care of all of that. We'll get the spay and neuter done. We'll get the shots. We'll get the chips. We'll get everything done. So PSA here, please spay and neuter your pets. That having been said, we really enjoy having all the cats and kittens around. So obviously no worries, no regrets, no problems associated with that. We hope that we're giving them a good home and we're having a ball with them. I promise I'm going to get back to automotive content just as soon as I possibly can. I just need a place to do it. And I've got a few videos that are just kind of sitting in the archives that I'll kind of intersperse for you guys that just absolutely have to have some automotive. And I get that. I'm kind of chomping at the bit to get back to working on cars as well. Not that I don't enjoy doing the work on the house and on the grounds. I certainly appreciate everybody tuning in every week, kind of watching my various projects. What else am I supposed to say? Please like, share, subscribe, notify, blah, 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 blah. You guys know the drill. It is helping, and it does help out quite a bit. We'll see you guys next week. Everybody, have a great day.